Walk to your back door right now and look down at the grass. Count the little dirt piles. One by the trash cans, two along the fence line, one dead center where the kids wanted to set up a trampoline, and a few new ones near the patio that definitely were not there last weekend. You have been walking around these things for weeks, mowing next to them, sometimes over them, telling yourself it is not a big deal. It is a bigger deal than you think, because every time a mower blade clips the top of one of those mounds, it scalps the grass underneath and leaves a bald brown scar. And within 2 days, the ants have already rebuilt the pile, usually bigger than before. You have probably already grabbed a can of ant spray from under the sink. It works great for about 20 minutes. Every ant it touches drops dead on the spot. Then the sun comes up the next morning, and the hill is crawling again, because spray only kills the ants walking around outside. It never touches the one ant underground that actually matters, the queen. And she can replace an entire dead crew overnight. Today, I am showing you something that does not spray, does not bait, and is not a chemical at all, and it takes out the whole colony, queen included, permanently. Here is the part that sounds made up. After the colony is gone and the mound flattens back into the lawn, the grass growing in that exact spot does not just come back. It comes back thicker than the grass around it. One product kills the entire colony, feeds the lawn at the same time. I know that sounds like a stretch, so let me walk you through the actual mechanism, because none of this is magic, it is just physics most people never learned in school. And by the time we are done, you will also understand why a pest control company can charge you $200 for something a $4 bag handles just as well. First, though, you need to understand why these little dirt mounds are doing more damage than you realize. Most people treat an anthill like a cosmetic annoyance, a bump you step around on your way to the grill. It is not cosmetic. It is structural damage happening under your feet. Here is what is actually going on beneath that mound. The colony is tunneling straight through your grass's root zone, hauling soil up and out, chamber by chamber, and dumping it on the surface as that pile you keep mowing around. That means the roots directly under the mound are no longer packed in solid dirt. They are hanging in hollow pockets of air. Roots that cannot touch soil, cannot pull water or nutrients, so the grass above them slowly starves from below, while the mound itself blocks sunlight and air from above, squeezing the same patch of grass from both directions at once. One mound is an eyesore. 10 or 20 mounds, and your yard starts looking like it survived an artillery strike. Dead patches everywhere, and new ones popping up weekly. And if what is living under there happens to be fire ants, this stops being a lawn problem entirely. Fire ants swarm the second their mound gets disturbed, and their sting is brutal, especially for a kid or a dog that steps on one without looking. Some people end up in urgent care over it. This is not a landscaping inconvenience at that point. It is a safety hazard sitting in your yard right now. So let me actually tell you what this powder is. Not yet. One more thing first, because this is the part that explains why exterminators would rather you never learn about it. Every ant killer sold in stores, sprays, baits, granules, all of it works the same basic way. They poison the ant chemically, through its gut or through contact with its skin. That works, but those chemicals also kill helpful insects nearby. They linger in your soil. Some are even restricted near creeks and ponds, and ants can slowly build up a tolerance to them the same way bacteria adapt to antibiotics. What I am about to show you does not poison anything. It kills through pure mechanics, and because it never touches an ant's biology, there is no chemical for the colony to ever build resistance against. It attacks the body, not the metabolism, and that difference changes everything. If you have been following this channel, you already know the pattern. Every video hands you a cheap replacement for something the industry sells you at a markup. This one might be the most fun yet, because watching an anthill go silent is oddly satisfying to watch play out over a week. The stuff is called diatomaceous earth. People shorten it to DE, or call it fossil shell flour. It is a fine, chalky, almost flour-like white powder, and it comes from the fossilized shells of diatoms, tiny algae that lived in ancient lakes and oceans millions of years before any of us showed up. When they died, their glass-like shells piled up on ancient seafloors in massive layers, and those layers are what gets mined and bagged today. You can find it at any garden center or hardware store, and a 4-pound bag runs about $4 to $8, enough to treat every mound in your yard for the entire season. Now, here is the part that actually fascinates me. Zoom in on diatomaceous earth under a microscope, and it does not look like powder at all. It looks like a pile of shattered glass, millions of microscopic shards, with edges too small for your eye to see, but plenty sharp enough for an insect's body. When an ant crawls through it, those particles stick to its exoskeleton, and the razor edges slice through the thin, waxy layer that coats every insect. The layer that works like a raincoat sealing moisture inside its body. Once that coating is cut open, the ant starts leaking moisture, slowly, not instantly. Over the next 1 to 2 days, it simply dries out from the outside, unable to patch the damage or replace what it is losing fast enough, and it dies of dehydration, not poison. Here is the detail that makes this genuinely clever. That ant does not drop dead the moment it walks through the powder. It carries it back home first, brushes past its nestmates, shares food mouth to mouth the way ants do, and touches the queen directly. Every single contact transfers more particles. The powder spreads through the colony like a slow chain reaction. Worker to worker, worker to larvae, worker to queen, until over 3 to 7 days, the entire nest is drying out from the inside, including the one ant that matters most. No spray reaches that deep. Spray only kills what it physically touches on the surface, and the queen sits protected underground behind thousands of workers. Bait struggles too, because plenty of colonies test unfamiliar food on a few workers first, and if those workers die, the whole colony just avoids it from then on. Diatomaceous earth skips all of that entirely. It is not food, it has no smell, there is nothing to test or refuse. It is a physical hazard that clings to anything walking through it, and you cannot evolve resistance to being sliced open by glass. This might be the simplest, most elegant pest solution I have run across, and it costs about the same as a cup of coffee. Now, for the half of this that sounds impossible, why the grass actually improves. Diatomaceous earth is roughly 85% silica, and silica happens to be genuinely good for grass. As the powder slowly breaks down and works into the soil, it releases plant-available silica, and that mineral does several things. It toughens up the cell walls in grass blades, making them physically more resistant to foot traffic, mowing stress, and heat. It helps grass hold onto moisture, so during a brutal July stretch, silica-fed grass tends to stay green a little longer than the untreated grass around it. And the effect that genuinely surprised me the first time I read the research, silica encourages tillering, which is when a single grass plant sends up extra side shoots from the same root base, meaning more blades growing out of the exact same plant. More blades per plant is literally what thicker grass means. Turf studies out of places like the University of Florida have measured real, if modest, gains in grass density when soil silica increases. It is nothing like the jolt you get from nitrogen fertilizer. It is slower and quieter, but it is real, and it compounds every time you apply more. So here is the actual timeline once you treat a mound. Week 1, the colony collapses and the mound stops growing. Week 2, rain and normal watering wash the powder down into the root zone, where the silica starts integrating into the soil. Weeks 3 and 4, with no ants left to maintain it, the dead mound settles flat, and the smothered grass underneath starts pushing back up. Weeks 4 through 8, that recovering patch, now sitting in silica-enriched soil, starts tillering harder than the grass around it, so the bare spot does not just fill back in, it fills in denser than before. By month 3, the exact spot where the ugliest mound in your yard used to sit is often the greenest, thickest patch on the entire property, not because you babied it, but because one application both killed the pest and fed the ground underneath it at the same time. Now let me walk you through exactly how to apply it. First method, direct mound treatment, for any anthill you can actually see. Take about a cup of the powder and dust the entire surface of the mound in a visible white layer. Then grab a stick or an old screwdriver and poke 4 or 5 holes straight down into the mound, a couple of inches deep, and sprinkle more powder directly into those holes. The holes do 2 things at once. They get the powder into the upper tunnels where the most activity is happening, and they stir up the colony just enough that ants come rushing out to repair the damage, walking straight through the powder as they do. Do not kick the mound apart or knock it down. You want it intact, so the ants keep circulating through it and dragging the powder deeper with every trip. Second method, perimeter barrier for prevention. Lay down a line of the powder along fence lines, your foundation, the edges of the patio or driveway, anywhere ants might be crossing into your yard from somewhere else. That creates a kill line that any incoming ant has to cross, picking up particles on the way through and hauling them straight back to a colony you never even had to find. Third method, full lawn broadcast, for a yard that is genuinely overrun. Using a regular spreader, dust the entire lawn at roughly 2 pounds per 1,000 square feet. A light coating that basically disappears into the grass once it settles. Water it in lightly afterward. This one hits every colony on the property at once, including nests you never even knew were there. Now for the rules that actually matter. Rule 1. Buy food-grade diatomaceous earth, never pool-grade. Pool-grade has been heat-treated and contains a form of silica that is genuinely harmful to breathe. Food-grade is the safe version, and the bag needs to say food-grade right on the label. No exceptions. Rule 2. Only apply it dry. Once it gets wet, the particles clump together and lose their cutting edge entirely. Pick a dry day with no rain expected for at least a day, and if it does rain on you, wait for things to dry out and reapply. Rule 3. Wear a basic dust mask while spreading it, since even the food-grade version can irritate your lungs if you are breathing in a cloud of fine dust. Once it settles into the grass, there is no more airborne risk at all. Rule 4. Keep pets off the treated area for about an hour until it settles, after which it is completely safe. It is actually the same stuff sometimes mixed into pet food as a natural dewormer. Rule 5. Give it time. This is not a spray. There is no instant kill. Individual ants take 1 to 2 days. The whole colony takes 3 to 7. If you check the mound the next morning and ants are still out there, that is completely expected. Check back again around day 5. Let me tell you what actually happened in my own yard. Last June I counted 13 mounds scattered across my backyard. 3 of them fire ants camped out in the far corner. I treated every single one on a Saturday, powder on top, holes poked in, extra powder pushed down inside, then a perimeter line laid along the whole fence. Day 1, nothing changed, ants everywhere like normal. Day 3, 8 of the 13 mounds had noticeably less traffic. The trails leading away from them were thinning out. Day 5, 11 of 13 showed zero surface activity. The 2 fire ant mounds were slower but clearly winding down. Day 7, all 13 were completely dead. Not a single ant visible anywhere. And I poked one with a stick just to check. Nothing came out. I hit the 2 stubborn fire ant mounds with a second dose just to be safe, and they were fully dead within 3 more days. 2 weeks after that, I noticed something I was not expecting at all. The grass growing back over those dead mounds looked thicker and darker than the grass a few feet away. I actually got a ruler and counted blades per square inch in the old mound spots versus untouched grass nearby, and the treated spots were running about 30% denser. I cannot swear the diatomaceous earth alone caused that. It could be partly the grass filling in a gap, partly nutrients from the decomposing colony, probably some mix of all of it, including the silica. But the visual result was undeniable. The best grass in my whole yard was growing exactly where the worst dirt piles used to be. Total cost to treat 13 mounds, somewhere around $3 out of a $6 bag. A professional exterminator visit for the same job runs anywhere from $100 to $250, using synthetic chemicals that often mean keeping kids and pets off the lawn for a day or more. $3, zero synthetic residue, and the grass ends up better than before. Quick answers to what people always ask me. Does it work on fire ants? Yes, though their colonies run deeper and larger, so expect 7 to 10 days instead of 3 to 5, and sometimes a second application. But the mechanism is identical. Does it work on carpenter ants? Only partially, since they nest in wood rather than soil, so this needs to go directly on the wood they are living in, which is a separate topic entirely. Does it kill earthworms? No, not at these rates. Earthworms stay down in moist soil where the powder has already gone damp and lost its cutting edge by the time it reaches them. Does it hurt bees? Not when it is applied to soil and mounds, since bees fly rather than crawl through dirt. Though you should avoid dusting actual flowers where bees are actively foraging. How often do you need to redo it? Usually 1 or 2 treatments finishes off an existing mound, while a perimeter barrier needs refreshing every couple of weeks or after a heavy rain since it is preventive, not a one-time fix. Here is a simple yearly schedule if you want to stay ahead of it entirely. Early spring. Lay down a perimeter barrier the moment you spot the first ants moving. Late spring, treat any new mounds directly as they show up. Peak summer, keep the barrier fresh and hit new mounds within 2 days of noticing them. The sooner you catch a colony, the faster it dies. Early fall, one last perimeter pass before ants go dormant for the year, to catch any late stragglers trying to move in. Total yearly cost, somewhere around $12 to $15 for an ant-free lawn all season, compared to 4 quarterly pest control visits running $600 to $800 a year for the exact same result using fossilized algae you could have bought yourself. Here is the one thing I want you sitting with. The lawn and pest industries have spent decades convincing people that yard care is too complicated to handle alone, that everything needs a professional and a subscription. Some things genuinely do. Tree work, major regrading, real structural damage. But anthills, weeds, patchy grass, these are simple problems with simple, cheap fixes that anyone with a measuring cup and 10 free minutes can pull off. You do not need a pest control contract. You need a bag of diatomaceous earth and the 15 minutes it takes to use it right. Tell me in the comments how many mounds you are dealing with and what kind of ants they are. Regular ones, fire ants, carpenter ants, and I will tell you exactly how to handle your specific situation. Come back in a couple weeks and let me know how it went. because this comment section has turned into one of the most honest lawn care resources around. Real yards, real results, no sponsors involved.